Now, one of the best ways to end a busy week is joining us, sitting on your couch at home or wherever you may be, joining us having conversations that matter. And that's exactly what we bring you here on The Natalie Ford Show. You're welcome to another episode of The Natalie Ford Show right here on GHOne TV. Former CEO of PepsiCo, Indra Nooyi, once said, "Leadership is hard to define, and good leadership is even harder. But if you can get people to follow you to the ends of the earth, you are truly a great leader." One woman who exemplifies this has made and continues to make significant impact in the marketing and communication sector at top level is Koo Govender. Currently CEO of Publicis Groupe Africa, Koo's career spans over 2 decades, and her passion for inspirational leadership, marketing, and women empowerment remains her driving force. Tonight on The Natalie Ford Show, I have a heart-to-heart conversation with Koo, and she's going to be sharing with me her life in corporate leadership, passion for social impact, and of course, how she balances it all. You're welcome. Koo, good evening and welcome to The Natalie Ford Show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm
It's
really
truly
excited.
A pleasure and an honor to be sitting with you this evening.
Thank you.
You look lovely, by the way.
Thank you.
Now, there's a way we always start the show, and that's by asking, currently, as we sit, what's Koo's life looking like? What's the state of your life right now?
My state of my life right now, it's super busy, super hectic with travel and work, and also juggling family and work. And from a health perspective, I have a little bit of flu.
Yeah.
So
Oh, well, I can't quite hear it, but I hope you get better.
but I'm thriving.
You're thriving.
Yes.
And you say it's hectic, but you're thriving. Do you thrive in some healthy hecticness? and
Yeah,
chaos?
I think I have a philosophy in terms of how I balance my work
Right.
and personal life. So my work life is a rubber ball.
Right.
If it bounces or drops, it will always bounce back. And my family life is my crystal ball.
Okay.
If it drops, it shatters, and it's very difficult to put back together.
That's a very interesting perspective, which makes me imagine that family comes first, right?
Absolutely.
And then work.
Absolutely.
So talking about family, where did you grow up? What was your childhood like?
So I grew up in South Africa. I grew up in a town called Tongaat. It's in the north coast of KwaZulu-Natal. And in my early 20s, I decided to go to Johannesburg and really progress on my career. So I'm more of a Joe Burger than anything else.
Right. And what sort of a childhood did you have? How would you describe it?
I came up from a very traditional Indian home. You were seen but not heard. And academics was exceptionally important in my family.
Right. I'd imagine.
Yeah.
Now, why was that, given that you were seen but not heard, why was it so important to you to move to another city in South Africa to sort of break free?
I think I wanted to be liberated, really, and also to demonstrate who I am as a woman and make an impact in society.
Now, what has been the most significant thing for you? You studied marketing and communications, I guess. Was that always what you wanted to do?
Coming up from a very traditional Indian home, I think it was being a teacher, lawyer, or doctor.
Right.
And I liked being a teacher or a lawyer.
You did? Okay.
But I fell in love with marketing to my parents' dismay. And I just thrived from there onwards.
Yeah. You say to your parents' dismay. So at what point did they realize it was something you were passionate about and sort of allow you to spread your wings in the field?
My dad was an accountant and a businessman. So he wanted me to study accounting. I did study accounting.
And I'm sure you were good at it, at mathematics.
I was really good at
Really
it, but
good,
I
right.
hated accounting. But I had this flair for marketing because I'm exceptionally people, brand orientated, and therefore I deviated into marketing.
Right. Now, you've been doing this now for a long, long time, right?
Very long time.
How many years exactly?
It's over 30 years.
It's over 30.
Without
You
giving
don't
my
look it, though. Without giving your age away.
Yes, without giving my age
Lord.
away.
You don't look it. And congratulations, over 30 years in this field. What was the beginning like for you? Where did you begin? And then when did you notice that you were getting to top office?
So I started literally right at the bottom. And believe it or not, in terms of starting right at the bottom, actually taught me never forget where you come from, because where you come from depicts where you want to go. And therefore my career progressed. It was my attitude of progression. It was my attitude to see other women being marginalized. And I said to myself, I don't want to be marginalized. I really want to be a significant woman in South Africa and across the continent as well.
And what was the beginning? What was the exact role you started off playing?
The exact role was a production assistant.
Okay.
I actually started in broadcasting.
Oh, excellent.
So literally doing admin, which I hate, but I did it. I really did it, and I made sure I did it so well that this would be a stepping stone for my success.
Starting off in admin, you didn't like it, but you did it properly, right?
Yes.
What other things did you have to sort of do to progress to the level of top office? And when did you recognize that you were actually getting there?
I think a very important thing is continuously evolving in your journey of learning. And that's what really helped me, was looking into the marketing landscape, what was needed from a marketing perspective. And I literally went and studied it. And that really gave me that trajectory of jumping promotions and continuously making an impact.
Currently, you're CEO of Publicis Groupe, right? And you've worked over the years. You had your early days begun at MultiChoice Group.
Yes.
From those days, what was your most significant milestone coming from MultiChoice and all the other organizations you've served in, and now Publicis?
If I look at my career from MultiChoice to VWV to Dentsu and now at Publicis, I was very fortunate that I took on female leadership roles. And the one thing that stood out for me was I hated the fact that I was majority only female. And from then, I always said, I want to pull out more seats for women around the boardroom table. And if you had to ask me what was the significance of me taking up CEO roles, was opening up a women's academy called Pakama Women's Academy, which means Rise Up in Xhosa. And that is basically looking at marketing and communication women, making their impact, having their say in the advertising community today.
And having set that up, what challenges did you find that women in this space had, and what impact would you say it's made on their lives since you began?
So the challenges that women have is breaking through the glass ceiling. It's proving themselves. I think women have to work twice as hard.
It's true, isn't it?
Right? And also, in terms of mentorship, women gaining mentorship from other women or other men. The other thing is also, I spoke about learning, continuously learning. The other thing, there's a huge barrier, is how do you juggle work and family life? And women go, can they have it all?
Can one have it all?
Yes, they can. Yes.
At such top level?
You can.
Office, yes.
I think whatever stage you're in your life, it has to be priority. Having 2 sons myself, I've never given them quantity, but I've given them quality. And I was always a present mom. If I was with my children, I was present. If I was at work, I was present. So that's how I differentiated, was being present in whatever I did. But I think the other important thing is knowing where your destination is. So I always knew I wanted to be a CEO.
And you knew you wanted to be a CEO?
I did.
Why though? Aside, of course, inspiring women, which you've done, what was your why as per wanting to be a CEO? What was the reason?
The reason being is that I didn't see a lot of women CEOs, and I felt I really wanted to be that woman taking that reign in a company. So that was always my desire of being a CEO, but being a really impactful CEO. You know, for me, success is one aspect, but significance is really important. And that's what really inspired me, knowing that becoming a female CEO, I would have influence and help other women grow up that corporate ladder or climb up that corporate ladder.
Do you think, I mean, people say, not to sound cliche, but women can do it twice as good as what men do. Women in leadership, do you find that it actually has an impact on the bottom line, having a female at that position?
So this is a very biased question.
I know it is, but I just want to know because people have that perspective.
I would say a woman brings empathy into an organization, and a woman is more nurturing and more caring. And therefore, I feel that's a real difference in terms of having a woman leader, but you need men as well. So, celebrating diversity is so important, and having that balance.
So, talking about diversity, how did you ensure that with the organizations that you've led and Publicis as well, currently, diversity is a top priority?
I think, you know, from a KPI, key performance indicators, it's really important to have diversity and inclusion on your agenda. And it's always been on my agenda from the time I've become a CEO, saying I want to see more women of color seated around a boardroom table. So it's important for a CEO, it starts at the top, to have diversity and inclusion as an agenda, but also it has to be actionable and measurable.
Now, how has your leadership style evolved over the years with VWV, Dentsu Group South Africa, and now Publicis? How do you find that serving in these positions has actually changed you, and how has that changed your leadership style?
So if you had to ask me what kind of leader I am, I would say I'm a very charismatic, inspirational leader. And how has it changed over the years? I think dealing with so many people, they've taught me to change for the better, you know. And for me, I believe in reverse mentorship. So learning from others has helped me better myself as well.
How did you pick your mentors when you were beginning? I'm sure you wouldn't want to tell me your age, but you were obviously relatively young, given the number of years you've done it. How did you identify the mentors that were going to help you along the way?
So identifying a mentor is very important, but I just want to share a personal journey about, initially I first approached a female mentor and she rejected me. And she just...
You approached her specifically for mentorship?
Yeah, specifically for mentorship because I aspired to be like her. And she said, no, I really don't believe in female mentorship. And this was years and years ago. And my first mentor was a male. And thereafter, I had female mentors.
Thereafter you had female mentors.
And having a mentor, I think it's very important in terms of aspirations. And you can have mentors for various aspects in your life, be it career, be it motherhood, be it spirituality. So I think that's how you should choose your mentor. But I believe the most important thing is chemistry. You gotta have chemistry with your mentor. And you gotta have confidentiality, that you could literally trust that mentor with whatever information
that is being exchanged and that's being shared. Now we're going to delve a bit more into the various community upliftment projects that you've taken on and the next steps, for you as an individual and for Publicis. Do stay with us here on the Natalie Ford Show. You're welcome back to the Natalie Ford Show. I've been in conversation with Koo Govender, CEO of Publicis Groupe Africa, whose career spans over 30 years. Really?
Yes.
She doesn't look it, but yes. Now, Koo, you've highlighted, the mentorship, throughout your journey, being a mother of 2 boys. And yes, you said you're present. If you're at work, you're present. If you're home, you're present. And that's how you've managed to balance it. But I'd imagine as well that sometimes you might have had to be at work when you know that there may be a need that your boys may have. Did you ever have any sense of a guilt or a bit of absent-mindedness sometimes at work as a result of your role domestically?
I did. I did. And, there's times when my kids were sick and I really felt guilty leaving them at home and, being at work. And the way I dealt with it was, I literally had to create a support structure that knowing that even though they were sick,
Yes.
they were okay.
Right. Is that family?
That's family,
Right.
and I still do, an exceptionally
Right.
great helper that helps me with my kids for over the
That's
last
amazing.
28 years.
Wonderful.
So I think, going through work and life balance, you go through stages of guilt, but it's how do you position yourself as a woman to say, I can do this. There is a place of guilt, but how do I deal with it?
Deal with it, right?
Yeah.
That is life, really.
And you can't have the guilt
Yeah.
persecute you in a way.
I like that.
Because when the guilt persecutes you, then you'll never achieve being a good mother or achieve being
That's
a
true.
great,
You'll be ineffective.
you're
essentially.
completely
Yeah.
ineffective.
Yeah.
A great employer or
Right.
great boss.
Absolutely. That's very salient advice. How about marriage? How did you balance it with your role as a wife?
So I was married for 28 years and unfortunately a widow now for 28 months. But in my marriage for 28 years, my late husband was exceptionally supportive. And I think it's very important sharing your goals with your life partner. Because if you don't, your life partner can't see you as a threat. It's important that your life partner also knows you have career aspirations, you want to have kids, and how do you balance that? And for me, it's that honesty of helping your partner as well, and you achieving your career as well. So for me, there's certain stages in my life, I literally took the back seat and allowed my husband to thrive, and he took the back seat and he allowed me to thrive.
Right. That understanding. I guess any husband or potential who isn't comfortable with those goals isn't quite suitable, right?
Exactly.
As a woman, right?
I think a man has to complement his partner, and my husband was my greatest supporter, greatest mentor. I always had somebody that I would, as a safe space, that I would come home,
that's the word.
that I could chat. And he would call me out on a lot of things as well.
Right.
And he would say, no, I don't think you handled it well. So I think it's important to have that open relationship.
Yeah. Healthy
Yes.
relationship. And sorry, really, for your loss. You say 28 years, you were married in 28 years. How are you dealing with that? You appear strong, but of course, this is your husband, your confidant.
Yes.
Right? How did you deal with it initially, serving in such top office, and then on the home front, having lost your life partner?
So I'm a very spiritual person.
Yeah.
So my spirituality has really grounded me. And, I also believe there's, grief is just traumatic. It's, this has been completely ground shattering for me. There's days where I go, oh my God, I can't cope. But I show up for my kids.
Right.
I try and show up for God in a sense of saying, there's a purpose this has happened, and I need to show up.
Right.
So from a spirituality perspective, I rely a lot on my spiritual strength to take me through this journey on a day-to-day basis. But also it gives me the opportunity of encouraging other women that are going through the similar process of grief.
Yeah. And it's beautiful that you say you're a spiritual person, really, as well. Now, given that you are, of course, there's one thing having a career, a job, and then knowing your purpose, right, on this earth. How has that, being a spiritual person, how has your understanding of purpose or your own personal purpose on earth, how has it guided your professional life?
I think, from a purpose perspective, I wouldn't say it's a personal or a professional. I'm so passionate about women empowerment.
Right.
I believe, whether it's in my personal perspective or work perspective, I want to deliver on that purpose of empowering women, equipping women, enabling women, and seeing women succeed. And if you're to ask me, what would success look like for me? It is unleashing a woman's potential to see her achieve the best of the best.
Right. And I guess that had a lot to do with how you were raised as
Yes.
well, right? What's your vision for Publicis in the years ahead? In this position, what would you want to be remembered for as per the impact having made on the company?
So being the first female CEO of Publicis,
Right.
the first thing is I would like us to be an employer of choice.
Wonderful.
I would like to see more women seated around the boardroom table. And then from a business perspective, I would like Publicis to be the best innovative, best creative agency that offers the best solutions for clients and their consumers.
Right. How do you find that women within leadership, right? You say you're passionate about this, but really oftentimes in the work world, we may not find a lot of female support. How do you observe that in the various fields in which you served?
I do. I think it's so important for women to have a sisterhood. And I call it my kitchen sink.
Okay.
So the kitchen sink means it's a very close network of women that when you're in your kitchen, you can pull out your stuff and be vulnerable and share with other women. This is what I'm doing. For me, I think sometimes us as women, we're ashamed to be vulnerable because we're ashamed to be judged. So I think it's very important for women to have safe spaces where they can actually share their challenges, their fears. For me, and I'll take myself personally, and I'm being very vulnerable. My fear is the fear of failure. And, even being the first female CEO, oh my God, what happens if I fail? And it's a female that failed.
Are you a perfectionist?
Super perfectionist. So, and that is to my detriment.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, has it, because of course it's good to want things to be done well and care about the fine details, but how has that hurt you, really, being a perfectionist?
Being a perfectionist it restricted me from a lot of career opportunities because the barrier of my success was the perfectionist, which is the lack of confidence.
So you know where it comes from?
I know exactly where it comes from.
Why was there a lack of confidence?
I think being a woman, for me personally, it was, I always wanted to succeed. And it comes from my childhood. In terms of academics, you always had to do well in your academics. So that was the fear of failure, and the perfectionist comes from that. But doing that, I would encourage women is you're allowed to fail. You're allowed to learn from those mistakes, as long as you don't make the same mistakes again.
Moving forward,
yeah.
Now you talk about your childhood earlier and being seen but not necessarily heard. You're a mother of 2 boys. No girl. However, it's also important for boys to realize, to train them in such a way that they appreciate their contribution and the contribution of women, right, in the world of work. How are you parenting your boys to have that sort of a mindset?
I always say to my boys, I actually, this is a joke. I said, I would love they're 28 and 26.
Okay.
And I say, when you both get married, I want your wives to come and say thank you to me that I've raised such good gentlemen.
Right.
Because I think it's so important for them to be respectful towards women, for them to encourage, empower women. So those are the things that I've really drilled into my kids. Be respectful. And also I think it's very, very important as a parent is to give your kids constructive criticism in terms of how, if I look at kids in their 20s, sometimes I feel they're a little bit entitled.
Yeah, today, particularly in this day and age.
Yes, and I go, no, you got to work for it. So those are the things that I'm nurturing and teaching my kids.
Yeah, so their potential wives have that duty to come and say thank you.
Yes.
Thank you to you. What would you say, now talking about your work life, 2 major things, impacts that have stood out to you that you've been able to contribute at these various firms? What are 2 significant moments that you realized, yes, I've made a huge impact? I'm sure there are many, but what are 2 you can remember?
I think the first thing was, I was the first female CEO for the group VWV.
Right.
And one of the things they'd asked me was, what corporate social investment initiative would you like to do? And I said, I would like to run a women's academy. And therefore I spoke about Pakama. And Pakama is basically equipping young women with life skills. These are final tertiary institutions, students, and helping them with mentorship and helping them find jobs. And I think for me, that is so significant because this gives the ladies an opportunity to learn the life skills to help them achieve successes in their corporate lives.
Now, talking about helping women, even young women get jobs, for instance, that's a more governmental side of things, right? You're of Indian descent.
Yes.
But lived in South Africa.
Yes.
Here in Ghana briefly, of course. I'm sure you do a
I
number of
love
travels.
Ghana.
You love Ghana? Oh, wonderful. Now, how do you feel like the Ghanaian government, and even in India and back home in South Africa, how do you feel, what steps can be put in place to properly enable young women to get their feet into the world of work and quality jobs?
The most important thing is instilling confidence.
Right.
And that's the first thing, is the confidence. The second thing is mentorship. The third thing is sponsorship and creating opportunities for women in various sectors.
Right. And also having women, I guess, take up these leading governance positions.
Absolutely.
Now we're going to be touching a bit more really on the next steps for you. Do stay with us here on the Natalie Ford Show. You're welcome back to the Natalie Ford Show. I've been in conversation with CEO of Publicis Groupe, Koo Govender. Now, Koo, having worked in this industry really for the longest time, what trends do you foresee taking over and making waves in the years ahead?
Definitely artificial intelligence. Yeah. AI.
AI, right. Now, what specific changes do you see? Because, of course, AI is going to be making shifts in almost every industry, but specifically.
I think specifically in the advertising and marketing industry, you will see from, AI having impact from creativity, innovation.
Okay, from creativity and innovation. Now, people sometimes even wonder, of course, we have discussions now about AI possibly taking jobs and leaving many unemployed.
Yeah.
Is that a practical fact on the ground in the industry?
I wouldn't say it's taking jobs. I would say AI is actually enhancing or complementing jobs.
Right.
So I think it's how each one actually views the purpose of AI. And for me, in a lot of places, AI can't really do the work of humans.
AI can't replace humans like many people are afraid of. How would you say that practitioners in the field have to adjust themselves or properly prepare for the entry of AI?
So I think the first thing is, in terms of AI, is first understanding what artificial intelligence is.
Right.
It's actually upskilling yourself on artificial intelligence. And then deciding how to use it to best empower yourself.
Right. Now, I'd imagine, given that you are of Indian descent, right? And the reason I'm touching on this briefly is because how do you feel like within communities, say in India, probably in Ghana or South Africa, how do you feel like society hinders the impact that women can have in some of these communities?
So firstly, I would say stereotypes. It's breaking the stereotype. And I'm going to share a personal journey with you in terms of, being recently widowed for 28 months. And I've just taken up the Publicis opportunity 14 months ago.
So it was within this period, pretty much.
It was within this period. And a lot of people from a stereotype perspective would look at it and say, you're still a young widow. How can you take on a new job? But it's breaking that stereotype to say, I am competent. I'm still grieving, but I want to try. And that's exactly what I did. So if you look at, the women being marginalized, it's how do we actually firstly break stereotypes. And again, how do we show up?
Right. You work a lot, I'd imagine. It's a busy schedule. That
Very
you have,
busy schedule.
Right?
I'm a bit of a workaholic.
You are? I was just about to say that.
Yeah.
I'm sure you work a lot. But
Yeah.
what do you do when you're not working? What do you do for fun?
So I love hiking.
Oh, great.
2 years ago, I did something called the Whale Trail.
What's that?
And the Whale Trail is basically a place in Hermanus that you literally hike and you see whales as you are hiking. So it's absolutely beautiful. And I love getting in touch with nature because that just centers me. And it's my happy space.
Right.
And it's my thinking space as well.
What's your regimen to stay looking so young and youthful? What are your health?
I'm a gym. I'm a gym bunny.
You go to the gym often? Okay.
I try and watch what I eat, but my downfall is wine.
Okay, your downfall is wine.
So
right.
I love red wine. So, but generally, I watch what I eat.
You watch what you eat. Wonderful. Are there any regrets that you've had in life so far? You've done a lot. You've made a huge impact. But you're human, right? So are there any points of regret that you've had?
I think the one regret is I've been very hard on myself. I've been my worst critic. And if I had to tell my 20-year-old self, what advice would I give my 20-year-old self? It would be easy on yourself, stop being so judgmental, and enjoy the ride.
Yeah.
I've always looked at the destination and really didn't enjoy the journey.
The journey, right. Are you still hard on yourself?
I still am, but through my recent incident, I've realized I need to slack off a bit.
Right. Now, what's the best thing that has happened to you in life so far that you feel like nothing else can erase?
I think being married for 28 years and having 2 wonderful sons.
Right. Amazing. This is a question on a lighter note, right? If there are 3 things that you could wish for and have them granted overnight, what would they be?
3 things.
Right. Have them granted like that.
So I don't know, if it was shopping, I would love to just shop and shop and shop.
Okay.
Or if it was being at a spa, I would love to just be pampered.
Yeah.
And I think if I had a wish, I would love to just go on holiday with my family and create beautiful memories.
Right. That's brilliant. Now, finally, I'd want you to sort of give a word of advice, a motivation to be a young woman, Ghanaian, South African, wherever, as per how they can also take up such leading positions.
So my first advice is life is not a sprint. It's a marathon. So the other advice would be is find where your destination is, but enjoy that journey. And live moment by moment and cherish all those memories and learn from your mistakes.
If you could use one word to describe your life, what would it be?
Memories.
Memories, right? Now,
impact.
And impact. Memories and impact. What do the next, say, 4 to 5 years look like for you? Both professionally and personally.
Professionally, I would say I've just started with Publicis. It's only 15 months. So I've got a lot of impact
to make
at Publicis. I've got a lot of mentoring to do with other women and youth. I'm very passionate about youth as well. So from my kids' perspective, I think I would still love to go on holidays with my sons before they get married and create memories with them.
Before they get married and create memories. Brilliant. Now, Koo, it's honestly been a pleasure speaking with you and engaging with you. I myself have a lot to learn from you, and I'm sure many others do. So keep being a trailblazer, really, within this industry.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
It's been an absolute pleasure having you. Now, we've got Fantastic next. That's the game segment of the show. Do stay with us here on the Natalie Ford Show. It's that time of the show for Fantastic. Now, Koo, this is a game segment of the show, and I've got one question for you, right? For most of us, there's that one childhood memory that sticks with us even in our adult years. What's the most humorous or comical thing you can remember from your childhood years?
Oh my God, that's years and years and years ago.
Right.
So I was the oldest of 4 kids,
Right.
but I was a prankster.
Oh, were you? You were a prankster?
Great
Right.
trouble and pranks, and I would put my siblings and cousins into trouble.
That's quite intelligent, actually. Do you find yourself doing that, sort of like pranking your boys even?
I do. I still prank them.
What's been one of your pranks that you can share?
I prank them with food.
Okay. You prank your boys with food. Why do you enjoy pranking though?
I don't know, it just creates the lighter side.
Right.
Really, really lighter side of me.
Of you.
And I think life is so serious. Sometimes you just need to have some fun.
Have some fun. Koo, thank you once again. Thank you so much for being on the show. And we wish you the very best of success with your personal life, raising your boys, and your role here as CEO of Publicis.
So much.
Now, Koo, it's been an absolute pleasure really speaking with you. You're extremely inspiring.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being on the show. And from I and the entire team, we wish you all the very best in your personal life, raising, or not so much raising, but with your 2 boys.
Getting to see them married.
Getting to see them married and their wives who have to come and say to thank you really for raising them so well.
Exactly.
And all the best as well in your corporate life, and of course having taken up this role with Publicis. I'm sure you continue to make an impact as you always have.
Thank you so much.
It's been a pleasure having you. Now, from I and the entire team here at the Natalie Fortune, we've got a little something for you.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming on the show, and congratulations.
Oh, thank you.
Is from us.
This is so beautiful.
So glad you love it. It's done by a young Ghanaian artist by name Victor. He's
Oh,
the owner of the
wow.
Flip. Yes. So he did that special piece for you from us to say, thank you for being on the show and congratulations.
Really, really beautiful. Thank you, thank you, thank
You're
you.
most welcome. So do take it along with you, even as you leave Ghana. Thank you so
I
much.
will.
Koo.
Thank you so much.
Glad you love it. You're watching the Natalie Fort Show. Do stay with us. We've got Proud of My Hustle next.
Little pampers were the station. Bitu, Misai in Baku. Oh, first word they say giant to me find 2 just that. That's a year. Said it to the eye. I have friend Auntie Mercy. I'm proud of my husband.
Now, as always on the Natalie Fort Show, I leave you with a few words on Natalie's take following my conversation with my guest. Now, Koo Govender shared quite a lot, but one thing that stood out to me is that when beginning her career journey, she reached out to a potential mentor who was a woman and asked if she could mentor her. Unfortunately, she was rejected and told that she couldn't mentor her. Now, one thing that Koo did, however, when she started taking up top executive level positions in various organizations, is that she decided to hold the hand of women along the way. She mentored many young women during their career path as well. What does that mean? Now, many of us females are given the opportunity to serve in various capacities. And when we do, let's not forget to hold another woman's hand and let them join us along the way. Thank you so much for watching this episode of the Natalie Fort Show right here on GHOne TV. Next week, we bring you more conversations that matter. Have a lovely evening.